Hello, everyone. Welcome back for our fight against bias at work. So, today we will continue with the bias at management level. I had to break this topic in three parts because there's a lot of examples that I want to bring here to you. So, let's not waste time and dive into the topics, the today's topics. And we will start with meeting dynamics. So here is the case. You notice that the same woman is always asked to take notes at your weekly meeting. Why it matters. Besides being annoying for the women, when people take notes, they are effectively taking out of the conversation. They aren't able to contribute meaningfully, and the group misses out on their insights, and also the person to have the opportunity to give their contribution. Diverse teams are often more innovative and productive, but you can't reap the full benefits of a diverse team if you don't hear from all its members. So this is something that maybe even someone is the best one taking notes, because some people have that capability to really condensed um, big information, big data into very concise and in the that to the point outline, which will help everybody afterwards. Will be and is faster doing that. Some people are slower. They are not able to get all the main points. So then you might have this person in your group that is the person that is the best one taking notes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should always assign these tasks to that person, because it's not fair. And what you have to do at the start of the meeting, suggest that everyone takes turns taking notes each week. If you notice a colleague regularly asking only women to take meeting notes, pull them aside and to let them know that you've noticed this and suggest they mix it up. And if you're the meeting leader, as I keep saying, it's your job to make sure those situations do not happen. It's your job to make sure that your meeting is run in a fairly, squarely way. Why it happens? Due to age-old stereotypes. People expect women to be more giving than men and to accept lower level tasks. Secretarial tasks also tend to be seen as women's work, such as nurse. The nurse is a job that everybody relate to women, right? And but we have many men nurse. As a result, women are asked to do more office housework, like taking notes. And women of color, who are often unfairly assumed to be in lower status roles, are asked to do this office housework even more often. So there you go. So now you know, if you're asked to be taking notes all the time, even if you're very good on that, even if you like it, just pass it on to someone else. And you can even say, I've been taking notes. I took notes last meeting. I think it's fair if we give the opportunity to someone else and give me the opportunity to contribute more actively and proactively in the meeting. You see, it's everything's about how you can communicate effectively. So the next example for today goes to reviews and promotions. Let's see what happens here. Your company announces its latest round of promotions. And guess what? Nearly everyone moving up is a man. Why it happens? This imbalance may signal bias in how your company evaluates employees for promotion, which means women may be missing out on valuable career opportunities and your company may be falling to get the strongest candidate, failing to get the strongest candidates into leadership positions. This is widespread problem in corporate America, and I believe corporates all over. On average, women are promoted at lower rates than men, while Black women and Latinas are promoted at even lower rates than women overall. Okay, here's my view on this. Got it? However, we also know that women are afraid to put themselves forward for challenging positions because they need to be perfect, because they need to know everything. And we know we will never know everything. And we talked about this here several times. And I repeat again, 60% is good enough to put your foot on that door and then say, I want to take this opportunity. So it's always there. The coins always have two sides. If your manager are not attentive to this, and this might be an unconscious bias, where they start promoting men because there's a lot of bias related to this unconscious, performance bias, likability bias, affinity bias. So they're all in the same pack for this situation. And if you see your manager doing this, or the meeting leader doing this, you should you should comment on that, but also seek for positions where you challenge yourself. Don't be in the expectation seat, waiting for someone to tell you and to give you opportunities. To me, opportunities don't knock doors. Opportunities pass by, but you need to be at the door to grab them. What to do? If you're involved with reviews, seize the opportunity to make the process more fair. Suggest that your company set detailed review criteria up and then stick to them. Again, transparency. Again, criteria. Consider using a rating scale, say, from 1 to 5, and ask reviewers to provide specific examples of what the employee did to earn each score. You can also suggest that your company set diversity targets for promotions, then track outcomes and monitor progress, which can also help move the numbers, change the numbers. If you're not part of the reviews, you can still make these suggestions to your manager. Why it happens? Multiple forms of bias may contribute to a workplace in which fewer women are promoted. People tend to see women as less talented and competent than men, less talented and less competent than men, even when they are equally capable. Because of this, women are less likely to get credit for successes and more likely to be blamed for failures. And also, as I said before, if we don't speak up, if we don't put ourselves forward for certain positions and stay in the waiting seat, we are just contributing for this performance and attribution bias to happen more often. Another example for today goes for everyday interactions. Your boss question your colleague's knowledge on something firmly in her area of expertise. How annoying can that be? Why it matters? On its own, this incident may seem inconsequential, but moments like this add up. Women are twice as likely as men to have their competence questioned at work. Over time, it can make them feel less happy in their jobs and more likely to consider leaving. And to some of them, they even start doubting, depending on how inquisitive these questionings, these challenging questions are. What to do? Support the woman by highlighting her expertise. You can say something like, you may not know this, but Jennifer is our resident expert on the topic of or Jennifer actually wrote a report about this last year. Longer term, consider making a more concerted effort to highlight the expertise of all the women on your team, not only in the moment, but regularly. Seek their insights in meetings and point people with relevant questions in their direction. So, as a manager, you already know that this exists in the work environment where women are more reluctant to speak up, to put themselves forward, because in most cases, the environment is a pond full of sharks, male sharks. And of course, with time, there's no awareness about bias, there's no work done towards eradicating those bias. In the long term, many women might even stop try. So as a manager, it's your job to assess the situation and make the conscious, concerted effort to bring women forward. Why it happens? People tend to overestimate men's performance and underestimate women's. We talked about this several times. As a result, they are more likely to doubt women's competence and question their judgment. Certain groups, including Black women, Latinas, and women with disabilities, tend to have their expertise questioned even more frequently than other women. They are often assumed to be less skilled because of racist or ableist. Not sure if that's the pronunciation. Anyways, ableist stereotypes. This bias is rooted in performance bias. So the next one, it's about mentorship and sponsorship. Very important. And we should even add allyship, which is this new terminology for looking for allies in your work environment. Mentorship and sponsorship. You decide to mentor someone because they remind you of yourself. Yourself when you started your career, yourself when you were in the same position, yourself in that challenging position. So why it matters, despite of all your good intentions. Good mentors can make a big difference, and I think they do make a big difference. Employees with mentors are more likely to get raises and promotions. But because managers and senior leaders are more likely to be straight white men, and because people tend to gravitate toward mentoring others like themselves, women, people of color, and LGBTQ people often miss out on that support. That also means your company could miss out on fostering talented employees. What can you do? Be aware of this dynamic and let it inform your choice, meaning go and check what you can do about it. If you are a white man, you are more likely to be in a position of authority someday. You can make the workplace fairer by being thoughtful about whom you mentor. Consider proactively reaching out to mentor someone from a different background. If you are a woman, a person of color, or a LGBTQ person, you might decide instead of mentor someone else, you might decide to mentor someone like yourself because you are the minority. Especially if you remember struggling to find mentors when you were coming up through the ranks. In your case, mentoring people like yourself supports diversity and inclusion. So have that in mind. Why it happens? Because of this bias. We tend to prefer the company of others who are like us. It's a normal nature behavior, natural behavior, I would say. This can lead us to invest more in people who remind us of ourselves. Perhaps because we assume these relationships will feel more comfortable. This is rooted in affinity bias. And the last one for today goes for everyday interactions. Let's see what happens there. In a meeting, a colleague tells an Asian woman they hope she won't be away on maternity leave for long, since the team can't manage without her. Well, you can even take this as a compliment in a way that we miss you, we enjoyed being with you as a manager. However, this can have implications. Why it matters. This comment may make your coworker feel pressure to cut her maternity leave short, which could negatively impact her health. It could even make her feel that her job might be in jeopardy unless she returns early. This could, in turn, harm your company. Why? Because the stress about maternity leave can make valuable employees less productive and less happy with their jobs. What to do? You should signal that you support your pregnant coworker taking her full leave. For example, you might say, we will really miss you, Janet, but I hope you take all your leave. You deserve it. You could also offer to help her plan coverage when she's gone. You may want to take a moment to explain why it matters, as we said before, to the colleague who made the comment. In addition, you could ask HR to reassure the woman that she has every right to take all her leave and that the company will keep her projects on track while she's out. As the manager, this is my own perception of this here. If I hear something, someone saying, we cannot manage without you here, I would be very concerned. Plus all of this, because all of that is put here, I think it's the in-between lines of what could be behind this message from the other employees, from the co-workers, all that, like maybe you can lose your job, maybe you're losing opportunities, etc. All that I mentioned before. But for me as a manager or leader in my team, I would be very concerned because if my team believes that they cannot manage without me, I believe I'm not doing my job well. Because the job of a leader is to build leaders. I'm not in micromanagement. I want to give my people wings. So I'm there to guide. Of course, as a manager, there is the big difference between the manager and the leaders. We say that the manager is the one who get the things done, right? They has to make is an operational person, but it's still nobody. If your team needs you to do everything, something is seriously wrong in your management and in your leadership pattern with your team. So this is something to think about it. And this, of course, was related to maternal bias. There's many more about the bias at management level, and tomorrow I will resume all with more examples so you can think about it and you can refer to these examples and get some tips as we are giving here to, if you see that happening around you, you know why it matters is your first analysis, and this is, you should spread that among your team and co-workers and peers, that they should not overlook situations like that. And as I mentioned yesterday, depending on the relationship you have with your manager, you might talk directly with your manager that you observed certain bias happening in your, and bring your suggestions. And also you can even refer to my videos here. This is what I'm giving to you. And also you can even go further, going to the leaning.org and get all the detailed information there about bias at work. And let's continue tomorrow talking about bias at management level and how we together can fight those bias at work. That's all for me today, and looking forward for meeting you here tomorrow, same time. Bye for now.